Hey everyone, welcome back to the 50th and final episode of Slipping Out. I will explain why it's the final episode later in the video. However, in this one we'll be taking a look back at some of my favourite discoveries shown in the series, whether it be secret areas or hidden out of bounds Easter eggs, or even behind the scenes footage that you wouldn't normally get to see. We've just about covered it all during the last 49 episodes of Slipping Out, so if you are new to the channel and watching this as your first episode, then it would be awesome if you could take a look back through the playlist, and you never know, you may find something new out about one of your favourite games. Anyway, to start off with, we're going back only a couple of episodes, but to a game from 22 years ago. The original 1080 snowboarding was one of my favourite childhood extreme sports games, and in the sequel, as you may know, Mario makes an appearance as an ice statue at the end of one of the stages. But did you know the Mario Bros also make an appearance during the original game too? No, neither did I, up until a few weeks ago when I was making the episode and I noticed this spectator in green and blue overalls. And since not many of the spectators were these, and being there's a spectator in red and blue overalls stood close by, I can only assume that this has to be a Mario Bros Easter egg, one which I can't seem to find referenced anywhere. Sticking with classic Nintendo titles for now, one of my favourite games, not just in the Zelda franchise but ever, is Ocarina of Time. And after defeating the subterranean lava dragon in the Fire Temple, we get a quick cutscene of Death Mountain, taken from the viewpoint of Kakariko Village. However, it was during this cutscene I found an unfamiliar face here in the village. It is of course the old woman who can normally be found in Hyrule Market. Now, at the time, I could only get a very quick glimpse of her, but as my modding skills have improved somewhat since then, I found out that she does appear for the entire cutscene. However, what this doesn't explain is why she's here in the first place, when she can't be seen in the cutscene from the normal camera view, nor does she appear in the village at any point during the game. One explanation could be that the devs were going to originally move her from Hyrule Market to Kakariko Village during the Adult Link sections, which would kind of make sense with what she says at the market, but then for some reason this was scrapped. It would be great to find out if this is true, but I guess we may now never know. Talking of characters in strange places, you may remember the Tony Hawk's 1 and 2 remake episode where we found this rather odd character on the wrong side of the window in the mall park. Some say it could be an Easter egg placed here in homage to the great YouTube channel and friend of Slippy Slides Odd Header for his work done with the Tony Hawk series. Others are not too sure. However, whatever the reason, one thing is for sure, it was a pretty cool find and is still like this to this day. One of the more exciting things to find during these episodes was hidden areas, and we found various places on Mass Effect that the player never enters. One of my favourites was hidden on the planet Ilos. As I was playing through the mission, I noticed what appeared to be a switch attached to this outer wall, which we never use. Strangely, there was also nothing I could see on the map at this point to indicate anything should even be here. Then, to my surprise, by looking behind the wall, I found what seems to be an elevator. Now, as far as I'm aware, no one has managed to work out how to make this elevator move, or even knows if it does still work. I will leave a link to the original video in the description which shows more about this mystery elevator, including a separate doorway I found to where I think the elevator travels to. Call of Duty Modern Warfare had been out for quite some time when I covered it, however it did still hold a few surprises, which not many viewers knew about at the time, and to be honest, nor did I. Sticking with the theme of the secret rooms, on the final mission epilogue there is a locked door next to the storage room that we drop into at the start. When I went beyond this door, I was expecting to find either an empty space or a skybox. But to my surprise, here's what we did find. It appears to be some sort of unused office room with maybe a briefing room beyond this. Not only that, but after the remastered version was released, upon checking behind the door, would you believe it, they are still here, although a lot harder to see as they aren't as well lit, and not to mention still unused during the mission. Whilst we're on the topic of Call of Duty, during this scene we see Al-Assad talking to a camera, though during the normal camera shots we never get a close-up of the camera itself, but whilst taking a closer look for details I couldn't help but notice the name Peter Tech written on the strap and also the camera monitor. Could it be a coincidence that one of the artists for the game was Peter Chen? Maybe this has been a cheeky way of him hiding his name on the screen that only he knew about, up until now that is. Whatever the story behind it, interestingly, the name no longer exists during the remastered version. During the time I've been making Slipping Out episodes, we've covered some great Easter eggs and hidden details that are either very easy to miss or sometimes totally unseeable to the player using normal methods. Take for instance the awesome horror game Alien Isolation, where the devs not only mastered how to scare the living out of the player, but also added a little humour. I'm guessing these may be some of the developers who worked on the game and their preferred beverage, but the question still stands. Where does milk come from in space? It seems it's a bit of a trend for developers to secretly add their names into the games they're working on, and why not? I'd do the same too. Here's another example I found on Manhunt. A cool detail you may never have seen can be found during the menu screen for the original Mafia, but on the PC version only, which incidentally doesn't feature a Grand Prix mode, so the camera whilst moving around the menu title room never makes its way to this shelf. However, over here a model of an Alfa Romeo 8C can be found. This is missing from the console versions, which does actually feature the Grand Prix mode. However, of course, the model of the car in the game doesn't use the official Alfa Romeo title, but goes by the name of a Caesar 8C. Therefore, due to copyright infringement reasons, maybe we shouldn't even be looking at this. Something that I've always been interested in whilst playing games is not only finding out what's outside the playable areas, but also taking a look at what's going on behind the scenes. And this is something I've always tried to show to the best of my ability during the Slipping Out episodes, often having to create my own camera scripts and mods to do so. One of my favourite discoveries was finding out how Gordon Freeman in Half-Life travelled through the portholes from an outside perspective, as I don't think this had fully been seen before. Also, to be able to compare the gigantic size of the Reaper ship Sovereign to Shepard was not only interesting, but pretty damn frightening at the same time. A less well-received Slipping Out episode covered the game Blair Witch, which at the time I kind of enjoyed, but many others didn't seem to. Unfortunately, it was during this episode I found probably one of my favourite hidden details that I've covered. Hanging out of the dashboard of Ellis's truck at the start of the game, a US Army document can be found. Now, Ellis is a war veteran, so it makes sense. However, when I went inside to take a look, I genuinely couldn't believe my eyes. For some bizarre reason, the name on the form isn't Ellis, but Elvis. Yep, Elvis Presley. So it seems either this could be an Easter egg that maybe the player gets to read the form by completing certain tasks, or it's an image that the development team went out of their way to find just to include the King of Rock and Roll in the game as an inside joke. Inside joke, that reminds me, another possible Easter egg that we found that I haven't seen documented was this one shown whilst covering Inside. I can't help but notice the similarities between these scientists and another popular game scientist. Let me know in the comments what you think.
Fascinating. I never suspected such things could be.
Whilst visiting salty shores on Rocket League, there was certainly plenty to see and find. However, it wasn't the fairground or its strange attractions, nor the hidden underground parking lot which got my attention the most. In fact, it was a boat that can be found out in the bay, which on the back of it has "Say Yes to the Jess" written on it. Something that you would never normally get to see, and still to this day, I have no idea what it means. I've always been a fan of Resident Evil since I remember seeing this scene for the very first time back when I was a kid. However, it's not only the lure and the mystery of the storylines of the Resident Evil games that have millions of players coming back for more. There are other types of mysteries involved with these games, such as development Easter eggs and hidden secrets that still to this day have players scratching their heads. One of my favourite mysteries that I showed during a Slipping Out episode covering the Resident Evil remake, and one which I hadn't seen anywhere else, was whilst I was exploring the rooms in the northeast of the mansion on the second floor, and it was here I came over to a fireplace where we used the wooden mount to collect a map for the second floor. After doing this, I moved the camera. Now, bearing in mind, because of the pre-rendered backgrounds, only certain objects move, but to my surprise, I noticed something coming out from the chimney stack from behind the map, which, when I got closer, found it was the musical score for Moonlight Sonata. However, this looks completely different to the version we pick up and see, and is also nowhere near to where we find the score during the game. So why this is hidden here, we still have no idea. So there we go everyone, that is it for this special 50th episode, and I'm sorry to say, Slipping Out as a series. Now, I've had a lot of viewers asking why this is, so if you were wondering why Slipping Out is coming to an end, then to cut a long story short, it's basically because from start to finish, including often making the camera mods myself, then completing the games, then going back and filming the scenes over and over several times for the footage, not to mention the editing etc, which, by the way, I do not have a team of people doing these things for me. These episodes can often take anywhere between 30 right up to 70 and even 80 hours to complete for some of the bigger titles. So whilst I do enjoy making them, unfortunately they just do not pull in the required amount of views and likes to make them sustainable for the amount of time they take to create. And that's pretty much the reason why I can't just keep throwing hours and hours of time at them. However, that's not to say Slippy Slides as a channel is coming to an end. I will still be continuing to do the same as I've always done right from the very start of the channel back in 2014, which is showing out of bounds content and mysterious hidden gaming secrets, along with the usual behind the scenes footage, though it'll probably be coming in a different way in shorter, more bite-sized videos, which should hopefully give me time to create content and release on a regular basis, which is something that just isn't possible at the moment, so exciting times ahead. Before I go, I'd just like to say thank you so much to those who have supported the series and made it possible to continue up until this point. I hope to catch you all soon, but for now, and as always, take care people.